Now let's catch up with what's been going on share markets. Let's talk to Ross Gerber, president of Gerber Kawasaki Wealth Investment. That's in Santa Monica, California. Ross, thank you for being with us. The story yesterday, the big story, of course, was the reaction to what Donald Trump had said in an interview with Bloomberg about Taiwan, fears amongst the tech area that this could put microchip supplies in dire problems in the future if the US doesn't back up Taiwan. How have the tech stocks played out today?
Well, they're still kind of digesting all this kind of stuff, but a lot of it's just related to the very high valuations and sort of an excuse to take profits from stocks that have rallied substantially over the last 6 months. So I don't really make much of rhetoric from the politics because there's one thing to say something, it's another thing to actually change policies.
Well, that's true, but of course the person in charge of putting policies at the moment is still President Biden, at least for the moment, and there's certainly been stories suggesting that he might restrict semiconductor equipment exports to China. That's not going to make things easier for the tech area, is it?
No, it's not. But I think there's so much demand from the rest of the world, and unfortunately, China has kind of made their own bed here with their policies of supporting Russia and their oppression against Ukraine, and essentially taking an adversarial role against Europe and the United States. And so, I feel no sympathy for the Chinese, and it is important that we protect our high tech industries from really, unfortunately, helping what we perceive now as the enemy. And China could easily take steps to change their stance, and I think that would be beneficial for world trade, but that just hasn't happened.
Okay, let's turn our attention to a very well-known company, of course, Netflix. They've had some issues in the past with new subscriptions. They tightened down on people using their passwords for lots of different people. And, well, interestingly, their earnings coming out today for the second quarter, 8 million new subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, really, Netflix was quite right when they assumed that most people actually were not actually paying for Netflix. And at the time, they talked about almost 100 million potential subscribers that were not paying. And within my office alone, I would say about 100% of the millennials were not paying. And today, we're now at probably 70% are paying something, and more as they deal with the headaches of not having a subscription. So this has turned out to be very beneficial, along with having a lower priced ad tier. They're getting advertising revenue plus some subscription revenue, which ultimately leads them to earning more money per subscriber than their pure subscription rate. So Netflix has got everything going for them, and they just have wonderful content, and it's constantly dynamic and changing. So we love the business, and another great quarter.
Okay, and finally, Ross, US jobless claims. I mean, it's something we always watch to get a sense, and it's one of those weird ones where you think more jobless claims might actually help because it means that, as far as the Fed's concerned, the economy is not overheating. So what are we reading into the latest thing?
Well, I think that's the needle they're trying to thread, which they've actually never done successfully, which is, can we get unemployment to a point where we're happy, where supply and demand are balanced, but at the same respect, not creating recession? And it's just, a very, very tough needle to thread. So they need to err on the side of growth, not on the side of over tightening, and that's really gives them the next 3 or 4 months to start making moves to lower rates. But we're seeing higher unemployment now. We're seeing a lot less job opportunities, especially for educated people. The labor market for blue collar workers is still very strong. So the U.S. economy is in a great place, and the Fed plays their cards right, starts loosening, things will go well.
Ross, thanks so much. Ross Gerber there.